Thank you, Dr. Yüksel. Teaching the universal values. And we come now to the end of the first round here, presenting the papers. Another paper from the practical side, Dr. Beishenaliev from Johns Hopkins University on pedagogical ideas of Fethullah Gulen and their practice in Central Asia. The floor is open to you.
So, good morning, esteemed panelists, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Rumi Forums for organizing such an important and timely conference and inviting me here today. Today, I'm going to talk about Fethullah Gulen's pedagogical ideas and their practice in education institutions in Central Asia. Gulen movement is not only about education, but it sees education as an undeniable factor that lies in core of most important projects and development. In my paper, I intend to elaborate on education ideas and principles of Fethullah Gulen by the way of comparing educational institutions in Kazakhstan, Katev, Kazakh Turkish schools, Shelale, Tajikistan, Tajik Turkish schools, and Sebat, Kyrgyz Turkish schools. So in order to serve this purpose, I want to talk about Gulen-inspired schools as an innovative education models. Albeit I'm talking about schools in Central Asia, it has external validity and many similar outputs in other Gulen-inspired schools all over the world. I had a unique opportunity to experience Gulen movement's education approach when I was a student at Gulen-inspired school located in northern city in southeast part of Kyrgyzstan, close to Chinese border. Later on, after graduation, I experienced such an education process from a different angle. So this time being on the other side of the classroom, working as an educator in Gulen-inspired school in Bishkek, the capital of Kyrgyzstan, as well as in Johannesburg in South Africa and Turkey. I studied Gulen's pedagogical ideas, academically receiving my PhD in this field. I would like to continue my presentation by asking a question. What are these instrumental pedagogical ideas and educational principles that make Gulen-inspired schools successful and demanded in various countries of the world in spite of political, social, and cultural difference? So let's see Fethullah Gulen's education principles are and what make these schools different. The first principle is synthesis of heart and mind, or conscience with logic. It represents an essential connection between spirituality and intellectual training. Gulen says shortcomings of the modern society are caused by the gap between spiritual knowledge and scientific view and separation of heart and mind. During my PhD research, I have conducted a survey in countries of Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan in 2011. The survey revealed that 65% of participants said that the reason that played a decisive role in parents' decision of admitting their children to Gulen-inspired schools was because of the importance invested in moral and ethical values that are taught at Gulen-inspired schools rather than just the quality of the scientific teachings. And second principle is humanism principle. Humanism is the fundamental reason that is present in every project and activity of Gulen movements, including, of course, education. According to Gulen, and I quote, humans and the greatest mirror of the names attributes the deeds of God, our shining mirror, a marvelous fruit of life, a source for the whole universe, a seed that appears to be a tiny drop, a sun formed as a humble seed, a great melody in spite of their insignificant physical positions, and the source for existence all contained within a small body. Humans carry a holy secret that makes them equal to the entire universe with all their wealth of character, a wealth that can be developed to excellence. Educational approach based on humanism is a very constructive educating force that takes knowledge and shapes character and personality not in students but also in teachers. Such benevolent ideas are welcomed in many parts of the world. We can see resemblance of Gulen's ideas with the ideas of Kamensky, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Pestalozzi, Ushinsky, and Makarenko, who were also advocating education of children or South humanism. So third principle is representation. Actions speak louder than words has become the motto for teachers in Gulen-inspired schools. Teachers are the instrumental factor that lies in the core of education approach based on Fethullah Gülen's ideas. The teachers not only should be capable to teach the subject of their proficiency, but also represent the core values such as kindness, honesty, generosity, respect, compassion, loyalty, dedication, and friendship. So when I was accepted to Northern Kyrgyz Turkish Lyceum in 1994, I was also wondering why will these well-educated teachers leave their homeland and their families and come to work relatively difficult conditions for an insignificant salaries. So to be honest, I had no clue back then what has inspired these people to come to Central Asia. Administration and teachers created since a warm atmosphere around the school campus. So it has become obvious that their everlasting dedication, respect, thoughtfulness, and humble attitude. So even school principal himself every morning during the winter temperature was around negative 35, 40 Fahrenheit was breaking the ice on the frozen schoolyard and made us appreciate their compassion and altruism. So fourth principle is variation principle. Students have opportunity to select the field of study to which they have inclination, whether it's qualitative or quantitative. It's also important to make into account the cultural background and native language to form class that will create the optimal environment for the freshman students. For example, students who are coming from Russian language-based school have an opportunity to study at Russian language school class. It also strengthens the principles of individual and personal approach to each of the students. So fifth principle is equal education opportunities and social harmony. Regardless of ethnic origins, religious views, political affiliation, social status, cultural difference, and geographic locations, students are welcome to study at these schools having equal opportunities. So especially in Fergana Valley, which is divided by Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, where the ethnic divisions and social cleavages pose a very significant problem, such approach and understanding is very crucial. Gulen-inspired schools provide not only a great opportunity to receive high-quality education, but also act as a platforms that eradicate stereotypes and xenophobia by promoting dialogue, amity, and mutual understanding. From such activities, we can see Gulen's Peace Islands project. So as an illustration of social harmony, I can give you an example from Tokmok Gulen-inspired school in Kyrgyzstan, where among 24 students are studying and there were 11 different nations in one class. Graduates from Gulen-inspired schools with who received good education and cherish humanistic values are sharing these accomplishments with all people. They also establish empathy and even kindship with graduates from other Gulen-inspired schools worldwide. It's like a creation of network of empathy and friendship. So sixth principle is social cooperation. Education approach based on Gülen's ideas is not constrained within the walls of the school. According to Gülen, in order to achieve success in education, it's important to have comprehensive approach that includes various members of society and the educational process. He states that important triangles should be established, such as parent, sponsor, and teacher. In other words, every part of society, such as policymakers, government officials, students, parents, businessmen, public leaders, should be involved into this great social project of education. These people set an unforgettable example of devotion and self-completement in our minds. So I realized that all 12 Gulen-inspired schools at that time in Kyrgyzstan were supported by private donations. So this fact blew my mind. And back then we were still those kids of Soviet era with perception that there is no free lunch. It was good to true. For some reason, we always thought that people who run our schools were some rich corporations. However, later we found out that it was financed by middle-class people who were saturated with principles of benevolence and compassion. Studying in Germany for master's degree was a turning period for me, and I had a chance to meet, work, and learn from these volunteers of education. For schools like City Osh, southern part of Kyrgyzstan, needed a good amount of financial funding to finish its construction of this school building so that it could start with the accordance to the planned date. So Gulen movement volunteers in Germany took a personal vow to find sponsors for the school. So at that time I met a great person, Yusuf Altash. He was a construction worker, so he gave away and his personal savings to the school, but his family didn't know that. Once their family were also invited to one fundraising event in Germany, and also Yusuf Altashabi invited his wife Hatice Hanım. Also, Hatice Hanım attended to this program, and at the end of the program, the guest list presented, and there was the name of Hatice Hanım's with remarked 400 German marks, and her husband's name Yusuf Altash. So she donated her husband to Hizmet Foundation. But after that story, Yusuf abi literally became really a Hizmet Foundations. So he was hardworking at the construction. After that, he was spending his time in Hizmet issue, and of course, he was coming so late to his home. One day, Hatice Hanım asked to her husband why he was so late, and Yusuf abi asked him, "What were you thinking when you put my name onto that donation list? And now I belong to Hizmet Foundation. You should thought it before you put my name onto that list." So it's a really important during point example for me. And second one is also from Germany. So this story is about Salih Yıldız abi. He was so important person for me. I am lucky that I know him. And probably you are wondering why he is so important for me. There was nothing special about him. He was also one immigrant from Turkey that came to Germany with hopes of better life, but he was already retired when I first met him in Germany. I heard that 1 year he donated 5,500 euros to Hizmet schools, to Gulen-inspired schools. And I interested him, and I asked him how much he's earning from his pension salary. So he said 500 euros per month. And when you calculate, he had to give almost 11 months salary to foundation. And I asked if he had any other income, but he said no. I insisted, and he told me his story. He said he and his wife found a part-time janitorial job in German schools, and they were working there, and they're earning their money from there. It was a very low salary, but I learned that he and his wife also were very sick, and Salih abi had that time cancer, and they were also very old to do janitorial job. And after that, they were donating their income, their pension salary to Bright Future for Kids. They didn't know even their names and where were their money is going, which country, but they just trusted and believed on Hizmet movement. And after that, unfortunately, it's sad to say, Salih abi passed away because of the cancer. So seventh principle is integration of social dynamics. Another important Gulen's idea is to respect national features, customs, and traditions alongside with aspiring to a contribution of the global civilization and advancing the ideas of humanity, tolerance, patience, and endurance. Education process offered by Gulen is in harmony and accordance to the national educational programs of these countries. The fact that teachers inspired by Gulen ideas don't come up with a certain unique know-how approach. On contrary, they adopt the national educational curriculum of the host country, makes such activities. So 8.1 is absence of political ideology. It's well known that education process doesn't have any political ideology. And last principle in my paper is ethno-pedagogical principle. The names Yusuf Balasagin, Mevlana Belhi, and Ahmet Yesevi, but it's only relevant to Central Asia, but also to each of the country. Renowned scholar Jill Carroll, as you know, have compared Fethullah Gülen's ideas to Plato, Socrates, and Confucius, finding similar visions of humanism and human values. Due to this fact, similar to the vision on the human Gulen ideas have received global acceptance. In fact, since humanism-centered Gulen's pedagogical ideas are in accordance with the local prominent intellectuals in the countries hosting Gulen-inspired schools. So such schools and ideas and principles they represent were kindly received by local elites and population. There are thousands of stories like this, and I guess it makes perfect sense to me why. One of the Gülen's books is named Örnekleri Kendinden Bir Hareket. So it means stories that made this movement possible. So to cut the long story short, I would like to sum up my main point. What made all these Gulen-inspired schools so successful is the notion of sacrificed souls. Since Fethullah Gülen strongly advocates selflessness and living for others as the most essential qualities of the builders of peace. Thus, Gülen represents to the world the great idea of the global peace order by serving humanity for others. Thanks for your attention.